Okay, fantastic. I think I figured it out. So today we're going to be talking about the article that we read on Tuesday, which was about the minimalist wardrobe and why maybe, or I guess it was a little bit about the history of clothing in a way as well, right? The part that we read was more about how we've thought about clothing over time, more than what we kind of do nowadays. I think we didn't quite get up to that part in the class, but let's see, maybe somebody has read it. So let's see, what do you guys remember from the article? What things was it talking about? What were some of the ideas? Washing? Manu, can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yes, thank you, Tash. I don't think it was about washing at all, because the article was about a very few items in the wardrobe, when people just stick to one or a few dresses in their workplaces. And so there is the point of whether it is because of your culture that want you to change your dresses frequently, maybe every time, or once after a few days you have to change dresses, because it is expected from your colleagues, from your society, and it can take some fatigue to always think or planning ahead what kind of garments you are going to wear for any kind of circumstances. So, for instance, the article was mentioned wedding, for instance. You have to plan what to wear, and then you can have a date, a night date, or a party, or maybe a meeting, a working meeting. So every time you have to change what you are planning to wear, so it can cause you fatigue. So the article mentioned about the fact that this is something new, because in the past, in the 17th and 18th century, in London, for instance, but also other kind of countries, Western countries in particular, people just was stuck to just one garment, because textiles were very expensive, and probably it was they were made better than nowadays, so they can't resist. They can be more durable. They were long lasting, and people. There was this cycle of fashion in the past, so people just maybe wanted to alter a bit their garments, so amend them just a bit, so maybe adding a ribbon, or maybe taking them in or taking them out, or doing little changes to them, and make them appropriate for any stages of their life, maybe. So it was interesting that the garments in the past were to be used for decades, and until they were worn out to rags eventually. Um, and also there is an interesting point that people in the past used uh, to wear undyed garments, not colored garments as well. Uh, Only recently, garments are made to be worn out rapidly, so you are expected to buy new items of clothing, and also they are much more cheap, but also their value, their quality is not as good as in the past. Um, so there are these kind of new trends where some fashion industry people wanted to make it all more sustainable. So there was a woman who came up with an idea of just sticking to five items a year, if I'm not wrong, to make it more sustainable. So it was so fun to plan ahead what you are going to buy in this year. Just five items of clothing, and so it was. They were the main points I can remember so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. I think you've picked up a lot of the main points there. Let's see if anybody else remembers any other details or any other points they talked about. Any other details here that anyone wanted to mention? Can't people. You can only nominate yourself. Nadia, go ahead.
It's okay because I did it for him last time. I volunteered his name. Excuse me 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess it's allowed
Okay,
then.
I'm back. Yeah, so
Go ahead.
someone was knocking. I had to open the door. I just want to. Okay, Manu had make very good summary, but just remembered about the woman how she has been called by her boss because she was wearing the same dress like every day. Despite that, everyone say it was okay, but the feeling was not at all. And for the woman who had to go to the wedding with the same dress, I think her cousin told her that was not, accepted or is unrespectful. So this it shows you that how we perceive people who's wearing the same maybe clothes every day. It's not yet accepted. And also the woman I haven't finished the article, but I remember the woman, she said that she felt like boring because she wants maybe to change colors after the black. Maybe she wants to change colors. So maybe these 2 points remain in my mind from the article. Thank you.
Yeah, that is an interesting aspect of it as well, that sometimes there is maybe the opinions of other people kind of influence what we do as well when it comes to our clothing. That we don't kind of choose what to wear or what to use just based on what we like or what we want to do, but we also do it in a way for other people based on how we think other people are going to judge us or what they're going to think of what we're wearing as well. So that makes it a little bit complicated sometimes. Constantine?
Yes, thank you so much, and I agree with you. And also, I want to add, modern world, it's some kind of um, unspoken rules. It's change your therein. So, who don't follow these rules looks like some. Um, not normal person, so it's maybe relate to some deviation, and you look very strange if you wear the same uh, clothes every day. And also I want to add, I know such people. He was my boss, so he wear the same jumper every day during a month. And I just wonder how it is possible. But someday we come to his house, and I look in his wardrobe, maybe around 10 the same jumpers in his wardrobe. And it was not about wore the same wearing, but the same model of wearing, and it's a little bit different than topic, and the reasons mentioned in topic. So it's not about only the same model, but it is literally about the same clothes, and so it's maybe. And also, I remember topic started with some vote of participant of some forum, and so people maybe our contemporary consumering, it is not very very get along with such kind of statement. So it is maybe some new trend, and also I heard and I watched it in some American YouTube channels. The people, they like wearing some Victorian style clothes. So maybe we back to former fashion, and then people use more durable material, and they also take more care about their clothes. So who knows, maybe fashion back to this style, and to this kind of attitude to common clothes of for everyday wearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And I was going to ask everybody a different question first, but after Konstantin's story about his boss, I actually have another question to ask you. And I don't want to forget it. So I'm going to ask this one first. How, obviously, the article was talking about having a small number of clothing items, right? But what about this idea of maybe having multiple items of the same piece of clothing? So in this case, it was 10 jumpers, right? 10 jumpers that were the same. Do you think in this case that we would class this as minimalist dressing, like a minimalist wardrobe? Or do you think the fact that he has 10 of them means that it's not minimalist anymore? Does it, I guess my question is, how do we define this idea of minimalist dressing? Is it about the number of items that you have? Or is it about maybe using the same style or the same concept, the same uniform almost, all the time? Konstantin?
For me personally, it is associated with the maybe with style at first, and it mean you wear the same model of wearing and maybe same color of wearing, and it is about minimalist in wearing. So it's not you have only one t-shirt, for example. You can have about and more, for example, few hundreds or few tens of t-shirt, but they will be the same color. So it is also will be you follow minimalist style. Thank you.
Okay, so for you, we could maybe still class this as minimalist, but maybe it's like minimalist style instead of like a minimalist wardrobe. Maybe those things are actually different. I don't know. What do you guys think? Nadia?
Yes, I don't think it's minimalist at all because it will be, if 100 piece, maybe it's worse than if we were just normal. I mean, if we just have a normal wardrobe, to have a 100, I said it in Arabic, to have a 100 piece of something or two things, 100 piece, this is, I mean, it's extra list, not maximum list. So I think it's related to another trait or characteristic of the personality. People sometimes they find this exhausting to think what to wear and how they, I mean, they find it's like tiring to think how to look, or something like Zuckerberg and the other guy, I forgot, Job Stevens. They wear the same T-shirt or something, but they have many of them, and they focus on same colors all the time, so they don't have to think what to wear because it's tiring for them. So it's another, I think they solve another issue. It's not related to the overconsumption or to reduce the number of clothes we have. I think they tackle another issue. I think these two ideas are completely different for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, interesting. Manu, where do you stand on this? We've kind of had one for each side at the moment, so I'm interested. Are you picking a side, or do you have a slightly different opinion somewhere in the middle? Yeah, maybe this is the issue. Maybe this idea of like minimalism here or a minimalist wardrobe is a little bit too broad. I kind of think about it, if you're wearing the same clothes every day, for me, this is kind of like wearing a uniform. Even if it's not a uniform that, you know, your company or your school, for example, is asking you to wear, I think if you kind of choose to wear exactly the same clothes every day, especially if you have more than one of them, I think we can kind of say that it's like wearing or choosing a uniform for yourself instead of maybe a minimalist wardrobe or a capsule wardrobe. What do you guys think? Manu?
Yes, thank you. But I also think there is another factor that contribute to what you choose, because willing or not, you sometimes you are forced to follow somehow the fashion, the current fashion, because you know, sometimes there are some kind of jacket, for instance, that they are shaped in a way that the people no longer wear. So even though it's not really strictly following fashion, but it is a kind of shape that is no longer used um, um, generally. So you tend to look at this item of garment as a bit outdated. I don't know what to call it. Even though it's not really worn out, but you tend to put it in the back of your wardrobe and tend not to look at it when you want to choose your jacket. You prefer to tend to a newly uh, uh, bought kind of jacket because you think the other is a bit out of place if you are kind of wear it. There is this little maybe unconscious factor when you want to choose what to wear, but generally as I agree that you are going to follow your own style, your own individuality. So maybe you tend to stick to the same color. There are some people that tend to wear only blue or bluey kind of garments. People who like to prefer black kind of items. Other people that tend to watercolors. So there is this kind of bias when you that basically I think reflects your personality. So in this sense, there is a kind of minimalism because you tend to stick to this kind of garments. Also, the style of the clothing you are sticking to. There is something that reflects really your personality. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, because this is a big thing, right? We do use our clothes a lot to express ourselves, to express our personality, maybe to show who we are. If it's at work, sometimes we use our clothes to show like what position we're in, what we do, or what our role is. So clothing can be very important to kind of signal to other people who we are, what's important to us, or what we're interested in. Constantine?
Yes, thank you so much. And about the signal, and you're absolutely right. So maybe first that people see, then they meet you is your appearance. So it's about your signal to them. So maybe it is important also, and I want to also share with you. It's maybe. Misconception, but I heard it, and I know it exists. For example, in architectural environment, there are some prejudice. Every architect should have some kind of jumper. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's called turtleneck. It should be it necessary should be black, and also you should wear a blazer and this turtleneck. And so if you not wear it, you are not true architect. Thank you.
This is the uniform for architects, a black turtleneck. It's actually funny how often you do see this maybe in different places in different industries. You can probably think about it for other jobs as well. A piece of clothing where it seems like everybody in that industry tends to wear that same kind of clothing. Just to give an idea, let's go with these guys. We got a little bit of fun dance moves as well here. So for anybody who doesn't know, a turtleneck is this kind of like sweater here where it kind of goes, it's usually not so thick, but it's got that part that covers your neck as well, which is why it's a turtleneck. It's that idea that it kind of, only your head sticks out of the jumper. This is a very good saying as well. The garment doesn't identify the monk. I don't think we say it exactly that way in English. I'll have to have a think if we have a similar thing. Actually, we do. We have a similar kind of phrase, but about books. But that's right. You can't just stick to just appearances. Sometimes you have to also think about consider other things as well. Yeah. And this actually, something Manu said before made me think of the question that I was going to ask right at the beginning. And that was about this idea that there's some kind of like unspoken or unwritten rule that we shouldn't wear the same clothes every day. Do you think that's true where you live? Do you think that there's some kind of, expectation from the people around you that, you're wearing something different every day, different types of clothes, or, that you're not wearing the same thing every day? Constantine?
I would like to say, for my opinion, it is not a real problem for people to change clothes every day. It is not a problem. So it's when you go to supermarket and you have a lot of items on the shelf. So it is not a problem for people who try to buy something. So it's not about your ability of choice, and you have to train your mind to make this choice. So it's not annoying for people to change their wardrobe. So maybe some people who wear the uniform, I don't think they have less problem than people who so it's hard also for me say this way, because I'm not a woman. I know for women it's maybe quite harder. So you have to imagine you're in some different maybe image, or I don't know how it explained properly, but it takes much more time than for my man, familiar man. So for man it's much simpler, and it's not, you shouldn't look stylish, you shouldn't look maybe it is not and your obligation. So maybe I'm wrong, and for women it is a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is another aspect. There might actually be like a gender question here as well. So maybe, for example, for men, it's a little bit easier to wear the same clothes, or at least very similar clothes, whereas for women, maybe they're expected to wear, to always have something different, always have something new. Nadia?
Yes, I will answer your question. I think it's the same. I mean, answering your question for men and men, for men and women, the appearance, the looking at first, it gives impression. I mean, we cannot deny that, but it's soon. I mean, the idea we have it about someone based on their appearance, it will soon change to the better or to the worst. So it doesn't last, but at first you can get some benefits from the appearance you have. If you have a good looking, if your clothes are, I mean, well organized, you can be judged as, I mean, you give good impression to others, but this will affect by your personality later, and your behavior, your talk, it will change, will not, I mean, you cannot rely on this all the time. And of course the same for someone who has, I mean, like, even in the physical appearance, I mean, if it's not if they are not good looking enough, not only the clothes, they might have some disadvantages, but soon if they prove themselves in other things, this will be changed. But it's a benefit at first to have, I mean, a good looking or good appearance. It's different as answering the last point that a woman has to change. If it's in a work environment, women can do the same as well. I mean, they can have one suit or two suits if they work in office, the same like the men. So it's not, I don't think there is a big difference. They can do this as well. I mean, like you have a blue shirt and trouser black and gray, and that's it, and finish. And they can change between the same what men do. So for me, I think it's the same. It's the woman decision who wants to change, not because it's an obligatory for her. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, interesting. And it might be different as well, depending on different environments. So as you said, like in an office, which is very formal, where you have to wear a suit, I think whenever you involve suits, it gets a little bit easier because people don't expect you to have, 10 different suits that you can use on different days of the week. Maybe for lawyers, maybe for them it'd be a little bit different, especially if they're a very, very expensive lawyer. But I think for the majority of people, if you have to wear a suit, people expect that you're going to be repeating that suit. Manu?
Yes, thank you. I think that majority of times maybe it is just the workplace environment when maybe you see what other people do and you feel the push to do as they do. I think there is also a big issue, a big push for men, not only for women. Women, I think it is fine if they have a few foot, 3 4 foot, and they in turn change their suit, but not so frequently as once one swap of suit any days. It would be too strong a change of clothing for in my eyes, for instance. And when I think there is also for men, there is the push when workers or office workers wearing a suit, in particular a shirt like a white shirt that in the collar it is going to be a bit dirty, even just after one day, if they are going to sweat at their desk. And in this respect, for instance, in my town, near the blocks when there are a lot of office workers, there are laundries where they maybe wash their shirt just in a few hours, so they can maybe no, I don't know, maybe they can have the break in the work, and when they return to the workplace, they can take their shirt washed and ironed, so they can replace two shirts in just one day. But it is a lot of anxiety, I think, for people who really, just for people maybe who wear white shirt, they are kind of get dirty very easily. But it is too much anxiety in my idea. I don't think it is worthwhile. You can just stick and relative to this point that there is this push to change clothing every day. For instance, there is also an idea in my place. For instance, I heard this idea that you should take 2 showers a day, one in the morning, one in the evening. I think sometimes it's too much either. for one point, because you are going to waste too much water. It is not sustainable if you think that everyone should take 2 showers a day. And also, it is not useful, because I think just one shower is enough. But maybe it is people who are very afraid that maybe they can go in their workplaces and maybe um, stink maybe of sweat when working among other colleagues, but it is really frustrating if you think you should take really 2 showers every day. You can just wash, but in a more relaxed way. I think this is another idea, like this one of changing your clothing really every day. It is absurd in some way, in my idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is another kind of debate, right? Because I think we can agree that there's a little bit of a this idea of wearing a different piece of clothing every day is maybe very important if you're working or you're doing something. It doesn't have to be work. You could be exercising, or I don't know, hiking, or I don't know, something else that's very physical. If you're doing something in your day, which means that you're going to sweat a lot or get dirty in whatever you're wearing, I think we can kind of agree that, you know, probably before you wear that clothing again, you should probably wash it. You know, I don't think anybody here is kind of arguing that we wear dirty clothes, you know, 2 days in a row or 3 days in a row, something like this. But, you know, if you have time to wash it in between, you know, maybe you live in a very hot environment where it's going to dry between one day and the next, no problem, as long as it's not smelly. And that, I think, applies for, you know, showers as well. Okay, if you're sitting in an air-conditioned office all day, where you don't get to sweat at all, you know, maybe one shower a day is fine. If you're doing maybe manual labor, or you live in a really, really hot country where you spend the whole day sweating, okay, maybe you're going to feel more comfortable having more than one shower. But no, I think it's good we don't have any Brazilians here today. I think they would definitely argue back with you about only needing to have one shower a day. They're definitely very strong supporters of having more than one. Okay, let's go back. I think I've missed a mic here. Constantine, I think you're up next.
Yes, thank you so much. And first of all, I want to share you some funny stories. So today I had an interview job interview, and then I start to prepare to the interview, and I had a lot of clothes, and it was informal style, and I was very surprised yesterday, because I found all my clothes start small to me, so I have nothing to wear in formal clothes to interview. So I look a little bit strange today on the interview. And also another thing I want to share, and maybe we have to try to look from another point of view. For example, if you have more clothes, so that means more clothes means maybe longer wearing time. So you shouldn't buy your clothes so often, because you already have a lot of them, and it's time you wearing it maybe longer than you wear the same clothes every day. And also maybe the main reason is about maybe carbon footprint, or maybe impact on the nature and the greenhouses effect, and it's about I'm not sure, maybe you all remember we read some article, then pack cucumber in plastic is more healthy for nature than not packing it. So maybe the questions and the answer also, it is maybe more harmful for nature to put in washing machine every day your clothes. So it is maybe you waste energy then you use more quantity of clothes. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a good point, right? Sometimes what we think or what seems to make logical sense for being better for the environment turns out actually not to be better for the environment, because maybe we're not looking at the bigger picture or the whole story. We're just looking at one little part of the process. So you're right, we have kind of seen that before. So maybe it's the same with clothes as well. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's a different relationship between having less clothes that you wash more often to more clothes that you don't wash so frequently, but you would still have to wash the same amount, right? I don't know. This is a confusing question. Nadia, I think you wanted to add something.
Yes, I just got something on the shower rules and I mean these standards. I think before I used when we have like discussion in the same topic, some people they say they have 3 showers a day. They can't if they don't do that, and you think, oh my God, I mean not clean enough or what? But then you find that these people they're not exaggerating, but maybe we are different. I mean, you cannot put a rule you have to take a shower a day or 2 or 3 because there is some I mean factors in the body itself. They may be sweating more. I found this some people they have some issues. They have the right to do this. I mean, you cannot generate a rule how I mean many showers you need to take because it's really different for everyone. And I was thinking maybe for the clothes as well. Sometimes I got I based on my experience, I had a colleague. She wears black every day, all the time. She never wears but black. So I wonder. I mean, what's different in this? I mean, why she's wearing black? I think for everything there is a story behind it. It's a personality. And I heard later about the color allergy, if you know. Some people, when they wear colors, I don't know if you heard this, they have like allergies. So maybe we cannot judge these things from the outside and we don't know the reasons. Also, another colleague, she likes to follow the fashion and wear makeups, and she always I mean, you feel like she's a model and suddenly she wears the same thing for 1 month. So you feel like she has a problem, and it was true. So we cannot deny the fact that how we look, sometimes it's present our personality somehow. I got many different, I think, idea in the same.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, when we choose what we're going to wear, it's not really as simple as it seems, right? There are a lot of different things, a lot of different factors that we take into consideration when we decide what to wear. Some of them are maybe in our control and others are out of our control, like Constantine's example. You know, if it doesn't fit, you can't wear it, right? You don't really have a choice. So there are a lot of things, you know, okay, actually, instead of me listing these things, because I said I was going to try to talk less today, I want you guys to list them. Oh, but it looks like Constantine wants to add something first.
Yes, thank you. And I want to ask the mentioned before by Manu is the culture is want we buy more clothes, and every day we buy more, not only clothes but buy a lot of things, and every day and more and more. And so I watched some video in YouTube. It is about biggest clothes manufacturer. So and the fact if they don't sell their collection, they literally destroy it. So it's about make a waste from clothes. And if you're interested, just Google it, and you will see a lot of clothes is simply destroyed, and they make it just some raw material for maybe to fire it in some heat station, or I'm not sure how they use it, but they literally destroy the clothes. Clothes they now sell in the season. Thank you.
Yeah, this is a big issue when we talk about clothing and the type of waste it produces. There are a lot of companies that, instead of, for example, donating their items to people who need them, or I don't know, recycling them in some way, they actually just destroy them so that they can't be worn. And like Constantine says, you can find a lot of details, a lot of videos, a lot of examples of this online. I mean, sometimes they just do things like pour paint over them, or they just get like scissors or a knife and they just put big cuts through it so that you can't actually use it. But this is like a big issue on the environmental side of things when we're thinking about like clothing waste as well. And maybe, I know I put another question here about what things you think influence what we wear, but as long as you don't get angry with me, I'm going to change the question. Because I realize we haven't talked so much about what you guys think about the minimalist wardrobes. And we've only got 10 minutes. And I want to know what you guys think about this part of it. So my question is going to be, do you have a minimalist wardrobe? Would you say that your wardrobe is more minimalist, maximalist, something else? Do you think it's a good idea? Nadia?
I'm absolutely for it. Yes, it's a very good idea. I love the economist way in this, and I think it has a lot of benefits. And it's like friendly. What we can say, friendly. It's good for the environment. So whatever goes with the environment, and you feel like you're not over consume, I'm totally for it. So I agree with this minimalist idea.
Okay, great. What about everybody else? Do you think you are minimalist when it comes to your wardrobe? Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's useful? Are you more maximalist? It might be good for the environment, Constantine, but maybe not so good for society. I don't know if we're ready to see everybody else in their birthday suits just yet. Constantine?
I am not sure, but because I watched also some reportage from African tribes, and they feel maybe naturally, and they have no problem with it. So as for your question, it is maybe my excuse me. The question is what is my wardrobe? Yes, or my wearing is minimal. So it is maybe change depends on place there what I should do. For example, you go to the picnic with your friends, it's maybe special kind of your wearing, and if you have a meeting with some stakeholder, and you should maybe working with your appearance, so in maybe another way. And also, if you in a restaurant, and if you uh, maybe it's about your exercise and running, or riding bicycle, so it depends on situation. So my uh, uh, clothing is in eclectical style. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Remember as well that this idea of being minimalist or maximalist can be, in the sense we're talking about it here, remember it can be about the number of items that you have rather than your style. So here, minimalist is more the idea that maybe you would use the same item of clothing to use in different situations instead of maybe having like a different piece of clothing for every single different situation, if that makes sense. Maybe that's a good way to think about it, actually. Manu, what about you?
Yes, thank you. But I think my wardrobe is either minimalist or maximalist, because in respect of what I am wearing day by day, it is maybe minimalist, because I tend to stick to the same pieces of garments that are the ones that better suit me in any circumstances. And but in my wardrobe, I have a lot of items that I think not to wear anymore for many reasons. For instance, there are items of garments that maybe don't suit me anymore, because my shape is changed somewhat. So sometimes you have a problem with buttons, with zips, with they don't put really as you would like to, as they did in the past. So because we are also changing in our shape sometimes. So the and also there are the garments that I don't like anymore, because I liked them when I bought them, but now seeing them with maybe other eyes, I I maybe wore sometimes, and then I didn't want to wear anymore for some reason. For some reasons, I don't know why. And and also. Maybe sometimes you should, I think, bring your garments that you think you are not going to wear anymore, but they are still in good conditions. Maybe you should bring them to second-hand shops to get some people the opportunity to have garments. But I don't really know exactly how these second-hand shops operate, and I was a bit of a lazy guy. I didn't think to take sometimes doing this kind of tidying up of my wardrobe. I I preferred to let them in bags inside the wardrobe, trying to fight the moths, because moths want to feed on your garments. And but I should do it. Should bring them to other to second-hand or maybe an alternative to discard them by bringing them. We have on the streets we have public kind of refuse containers, especially prepared for old clothing, and you are going to put the bags of this old clothing into these containers on the streets, and then once a week. I suppose there is um, um, some people who came and carry with lorry and carry these bags of clothing and bring them in some places where they can distribute freely these garments to poor people, people living on the streets. You know, so it could be a kind of charity activity you can help to do by bringing your old clothing. So in the respect of what I'm wearing day by day, I'm a bit of a minimalist guy, but I have a rather large wardrobe of clothing I'm not wearing anymore. So thank you.
Yeah, this is a really good point. And I think somebody else mentioned this here as well, right? I think maybe Constantine, the fact that 20% of what we have we wear and 80% just stays in our wardrobe for whatever reason it might be. It doesn't fit, it's old, maybe there's something wrong with it. You know, a zipper's broken, it may have holes in it. But we tend to just kind of keep it there, like just in case. I think this is a pretty common situation for a lot of people. We kind of hold on to these things, even when maybe we shouldn't be holding on to them anymore. Or so we kind of feel like we've got lots of clothes there, but in reality, we probably wear just a really small number of things. Yeah, this is a good way of putting it, Nadia. We are kind of minimalist in what we wear, but not in what we store. So maybe if we actually realize that, maybe it would help us, you know, give ourselves this label of being a minimalist dresser or having a minimalist wardrobe. Maybe we could kind of embrace this idea and it would encourage us to do it even more instead of kind of pretending that we have a lot of clothing, but just wearing the same 10 pieces all the time. So, okay. We've got one more minute to go before we finish. What else? Is there something else about this topic that we haven't touched on yet that anyone wanted to mention? I think there are lots of things about this actually that we didn't get a chance to talk about in detail, like about the environmental effect, maybe how we're seen by others around us if we use the same clothes all the time, maybe that kind of social pressure. Constantine?
Thank you so much. And I want to add also, maybe we forget about repairing clothes. So we need maybe to repair it, and it became so not popular. So you prefer to buy new one than repair something. But it's maybe a cute tradition. It's something like, you know, then some kid make you and some drawing and it is look cute, and I think we have to change our attitude to repairing of clothes. Thank you.
Yes, this was another big aspect in this article, right, that we didn't get a chance to talk about. That idea, how we've changed so much. In the past, we used to repair everything. Everything used to get repaired and resized and added to and changed and mended. And this is really rare. It's even hard to find places that will do this anymore. It can be hard to find a place if you want to repair something in your clothing. So it's easier to just throw it away and to buy something new. So that's another really big aspect in this as well. And the quality of clothes as well. A lot of it is more designed to throw away instead of repairing and maintaining and keeping. Maybe like Nadia said here, if we have an emotional attachment to it, if we have an emotional attachment to some of our clothing, maybe we do tend to keep it a little bit more, and maybe we'd also be more likely to repair it or to adjust it in some way as well, so that we can kind of keep using it and keep wearing it. But maybe that's just for a kind of a small percentage of the clothing we have. It's not the rule. It's kind of the exception. Okay. Well, I feel like we could continue talking about this for a long time, but we're out of time. So we'll have to stop here, but I'll put a link to the post here. And if you do want to leave some comments about this idea may be about repairing clothing or altering it, about how this has kind of changed, maybe about how the quality has changed, we can continue the conversation a little bit more, but just with writing instead of speaking. But thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session. I hope it was interesting. And hopefully I will see you all again soon. Thank you for the reminder, Manu. Let me see if I can remember how I stop it again. Okay, here we go. Bye, everyone.